Hey everybody, it's the Guys Playing Games, brought to you by Ninth Row Reviews. Today we're taking a look at Assassin's Creed 3. Came out on October 29th. Mike, you've started playing this game quite a bit, haven't you?
Yep, actually I picked it up the day of release.
And we're about to hit the opening sequence. We kind of sped this up for everybody. Don't really need to hear everything that's going on in the background. We don't want to spoil too much for you.
Well, I think the visuals do a good job here of setting up the story from the last two games.
Yeah, so going on, this is just is this flashbacks, or is this just explanation of what the last games have been leading up till now?
It's a lot of exposition about what's been happening to Desmond since the first Assassin's Creed, and a little bit of what's happened in Brotherhood. And then, you know, it just gives you a little heads up of what's been going on the entire time. I think they do a good job. The other two games, they kind of just threw you in, and you know, Assassin's Creed has this very dense storyline, a lot more dense than it really should be. So I think
it seems like it, and it seems like they've added a whole bunch of more aspects. I mean, it's always been the Templars and how they're bad, but it seems it's coming up here in just a second in this opening intro. They've thrown in now this gods and end of the world type deal,
right?
That I don't remember being in number 1 or number 2. I didn't play much past that.
Brotherhood, yeah, the gods become a big thing at the end of the storyline, and there is like information that they spill in that it has to do with gods and aliens.
Interesting. So here we go. We're still talking, you know, Templars bad, but now this is above the Templars and the Assassins. We all have a greater purpose, or no, I don't know. It has something to do with this Apple thing.
Well, and it's funny because every game needs to be about the post-apocalyptic world, and you know, like Desmond is the savior of the universe here for some reason. Why can't we just play a guy who is
a bad assassin?
Yeah, who's in the American Revolution? Why can't I just play that guy?
Yeah.
And also, they dropped December 21st, 2012. Why is that date important?
It's because, according to the Mayan calendar, that's when everything's going to end, and that's how I thought they were bringing in these gods and this greater plan for the assassins or something like that. I don't know. It seemed like they were just kind of making use of the fact that the game's coming out in 2012.
When I played the first Assassin's Creed, I actually thought the game was set in the distant future by the setting of the Animus.
Really?
Yeah, I really didn't catch that it was supposed to be happening in current times.
Yeah.
And the game dated itself. I mean,
it just seems like they've made the game way more complex than it ever was before. And then we were talking about this before we started recording. The game is very drastic change in visual quality between the cutscenes and what the actual gameplay looks like. And I don't remember that being the case in the previous games. Yeah,
the cinematic quality for the first two games was very much in line with how the gameplay was. This time it looks like the setup looks much better than what we get here, and get familiar with this loading screen, because
you'll see this a lot. Like there's that first traveling scene, which doesn't have a really big purpose except maybe a filler, so they don't have as much loading screen time.
That's one of the problems with the Assassin's Creed games, though. There is a lot of filler, and for no real reason, and the opening usually does not represent the rest of the game.
Yeah. And so already, you know, they show up at this cave. They've been driving for a little bit. You get that, but it just seemed unnecessary. This first portion of the game, as I was going through editing it, a lot of it just felt unnecessary. It wasn't needed. It seemed like it was just there for maybe a little bit of context, maybe some FaceTime. I mean, because other than this, you don't see Damien all that much. There's that wonderful loading symbol again.
Well, now we're walking. This is the gameplay right here. This is how you start off a game where you're a free base runner.
You're walking. And we're walking.
You're not even helping these people. You're just
freeloader.
Yeah, you're an observer.
Well, I find it interesting that you're the only one with a light.
I know, these guys are completely in the dark.
Okay, so Flash, we walked like 25 feet, and now it's another cutscene. We have this weird door here. Magically, you pull this large orb out of your pocket.
Well, I like that this orb was the basis for the Brotherhood. Like, you were supposed to find this the entire time. And it turns out it's a key for a door that becomes irrelevant in the opening passage of this story.
Really?
Yeah, like,
so you don't see any more of this after.
I've played probably 20 hours of this game so far. That thing has disappeared.
Wow. Okay. So they're in the cave. Use the key. They're getting through the door.
He makes an Alice in Wonderland reference here.
I thought that was kind of funny.
I groaned. I don't know. It depends on your personality, what you're going to say.
I don't know. I kind of okay, cool. You know, make it all foreboding and dark, and we're all going to die.
I just wanted to push him off the cliff.
Again, only guy with a light, only guy not carrying anything. Everybody else, yeah, you squeeze through that tiny little door.
And I mean,
and loading screen.
And the graphics look all right. I mean, the lighting effects look pretty good, but
yeah, I was gonna say the lighting effects do look really good at this point, but still, doesn't seem to be as good a quality as I would have expected for a later version of the Assassin's Creed games to be. I don't see a whole lot of improvement beyond what was there in the first games.
Well, doesn't it drive you nuts that they've been pushing this game for about a year and a half now?
Well, look at that. You walk, cutscene, walk, cutscene. Yeah. What do? Buy a movie?
I know. And I just want to get in and play in the American Revolution. I want to get to the colonies, and you're stuck for a good portion of the beginning of the game. Before the title screen, Assassin's Creed 3 comes up, you're stuck playing as Desmond or his father, and you're in Britain. When you actually get in the Animus, you go to Britain. You don't even go to America at the beginning.
Interesting. So at this point, you finally get some free running time, a little bit here. Again,
it's so fake,
you
though.
ran 100 feet and another cutscene.
Another cutscene.
Oh, look, glowing thing on the floor. Wonder if that's important.
It's like the
Not like you couldn't
Apple.
have used that key again.
I know. Just
So
I will say
important.
once you get to the actual gameplay, though, the game really does pick up, and the story is actually pretty well written. It's just right now they seem to have fumbled a lot in these opening few hours.
And actually, I believe that this portion was a little bit towards the end of their production, so maybe they were just they were tired.
And they were trying to push the game out,
Yeah,
trying to
maybe.
get it out to release.
Okay, so at this point, we've got glowing door. Looks cool. Nice lighting effects. I like
Reminds
it.
me of a Halo effect.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, wow, it looks like one of the light bridges from Halo 4 or Halo 3, and
Any Halo.
yeah.
And then here, I don't know, you get a little bit
Of a flash.
Yeah, but it feels like the Matrix when Neo kind of like in the second movie he stops the Sentinels and he falls over. It's the same exact thing. He's not in the
Right.
thing, but it's,
I kind of thought it was funny where he's like, here we go again. I thought
Yeah.
it was a good line.
I was like, oh.
Okay, so at this point, this is very familiar with all of the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, you're in the
There's been
Matrix.
so much time in the Matrix. And so I guess the biggest portion of this is just to reorient you with the controls of the game, which is basically hold down A, push a direction, and run. And you will free climb, free run, wherever.
I do like the free climb mechanics, except it comes down to you're basically pointing the person in the direction and then holding a button, and that's about it. There's very little interaction. It looks good and it feels fun to play, but there's very little interaction between you and
And it's also important that we reiterate here, this is all sped up to about 1.5 times the actual rate of the game. And so this takes a lot longer to get through than what it seems. You really aren't actually running this fast. But here we are, Mike, you're playing through this part. You're just kind of getting through the tutorial.
Well, if you played any of the games, what is the point of having this tutorial?
I don't
wish you
remember.
could've skipped it.
There wasn't an option to skip this, was there?
No.
Yeah. I don't know. It seemed like they did quite a lot, especially with that opening sequence, to allow new people, those who have never played the prior games to get into it, so they understand the story, they understand some of what's going on. They always have these things. Now, when we were recording this gameplay, I mentioned, and I still feel the same way, that this free running is so cool, and I like it a lot more than a lot of the competitors like Mirror's Edge. I know Mirror's Edge was cool. It was more intense and more intricate in the way that you had to free run and the way you could choose what to do. It just didn't look as good, in my opinion, though. Part of that had to do with the style of the game, though. This is slightly more real D. I don't know what to call it. It doesn't have the same cartoonish feel that Mirror's Edge did.
Going back to Mirror's Edge, I think there is a place for that kind of visual quality. This game just exists in a different universe that's a little more realistic.
It's true. I do like, though, how you go from the tutorial and the getting acquainted with everything again straight into gameplay. I'm glad they didn't add another cutscene here to take up more time. And
it free flows from that gameplay into this.
Now, I wanted to talk about the character. I don't know the name of the character who is the father.
It's the father of the character you will be playing for the majority of the game. I
Okay.
already lost it. It begins with a K. I'm sorry.
All right, so why is he dressed like that? Because you look at the people that he comes in contact with later on.
Thank you.
And it's like, can you stand out more? You're supposed to be an assassin, right?
Be quick about
Right,
it.
and he is from the lineage of the assassins
bring
from
her
the
round
games.
And I'll bring this up in a minute because in another scene it becomes even more apparent. It's just like, I don't know, it just felt weird to me. Why is he acting so weird? Why is he walking so weird? they always did that with all the other Assassin's Creed games. I don't think they really put much depth into the different ways you can walk and run or the way that your character feels.
Actually, they've changed up the controls a little bit for this game.
Now, this looks good, and I wonder what the difference was, because this, to me, looks better than those opening scenes, minus that first monologue by Damien's father.
Plus,
You are requested to kindly find your seat.
Right.
The quality, it's mind-boggling how much of a difference there is.
Yeah.
Like, go back to the other Assassin's Creeds. Whenever you were out of the Animus, the graphics seemed to go down, the story was boring, actually even the voice acting was terrible.
That's true. I wonder if they did that as a way of creating a distinction between the two, but I doubt it.
Yeah, you could tell where their hearts lie.
I think this is cool. As you can see, there's a little green. Here we go into another cutscene. Yay. But you can see the little green reticle getting your objective points. That hasn't changed really.
Right, and the game it uses that green icon a lot. It's
all day long.
For the missions, it's like breadcrumbs. This game feels a lot more linear than the other games. So
really?
Yeah, outside of free roam, this is a very linear game.
Right. So you have a discussion here with a guy that they don't really introduce very well. You're in the middle of a theater. This is all just backstory. I think you had a little bit of trouble with this. What was the deal? You're supposed to locate the guy using your eagle vision, but
I've
why?
always tried to use eagle vision, and for some reason, even when I locate it and I press every button, it still won't go in until the game's like, oh, you're right on it.
Do you think they do that on purpose?
No, I don't think they've ever utilized eagle vision the right way. I never use it in the game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I ever used it in the game either.
I mean, there's missions where you're supposed to use it, and I never used it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think this is interesting. Like, where you get up and you walk out, I kind of like this. I thought they've added a lot more humor in some of the things. There's this guy right here. He gets up and you shove him right back down. Mm-hmm. Sit down, sir. Okay, but look. Okay, look at his walking style and all that. Why couldn't they have just taken a little bit more, given him a more natural walking style?
It goes back. This series has a lot of trouble outside of climbing on things. Walking seems to be very difficult for these characters.
Right. So here you are scaling the inside ledge. They throw candles in your way to make it more difficult, so you have to go through different levels. Kind of cool. All right, I get it.
I like that there's little stories going on within each window.
Yeah, there's the couple making out, and there's like the family right there.
I would be asking, what is that guy doing crawling up there? Because that's not a dark room they're in. And I've been inside theaters before. This is it's not that obvious.
I don't know. You know, they make it to be really dark. Now this I thought was funny because I
had trouble again.
You had trouble again with this. So you have a couple of attempts, and then you have to break the lock. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, you use the L to put in the knob, and then then use the right stick to pick it, and then you have to keep pressing R. It's a lot more complex than it really has to be.
Really?
You're just opening a door.
I don't know. I think it kind of poses a cool challenge. A lot of the time where I've seen lock breaking or lock picking mechanisms in a game, it's either been related to a puzzle, which sometimes got annoying, or other times it was just a really simple mechanic. So I don't know. I kind of think that adding a little bit more to it is kind of cool. It's kind of fun and entertaining. This part, though, where you're getting across the back of the theater, I thought this was kind of funny just because you stumble a couple of different times here and all of a sudden, thump.
It's very scripted, though.
Yes, it is. It is very scripted, but that's okay.
It's fine.
You know, it looks cool. It's kind of got this cool effect. It sets the tone really well. I mean, at this point, looking at the gameplay compared to some of those opening segments there, this looks really clean. I mean, look at the texture on the cloth and the front of the drapes. I mean, it's really dark, so you can't see a lot of the wood texturing and stuff like that. But it just looks really nice, and I appreciate that.
This game has a huge improvement over the other two.
Really?
Yeah. The character models, everything just feels cleaner and more polished.
Right. So here you go. You walk in. You find this guy. You know, kind of with the same feel as the other Assassin's Creed games, there's a lot that you don't know what's going on. You have no backstory with this guy or why you're about to do what you're about to do. But you kind of get that there's a relationship there, and poor kid. Just sit there and watch this guy get stabbed.
Where did that kid come from?
Actually, I saw him standing behind the drapes right before, and I don't know, maybe a little assistant or something like that.
It's a little odd.
I wonder if he comes back later on in the game. Does he?
I haven't seen him yet, but that might be.
That'd be kind of cool.
But right when I jumped into this character, I was like, this is the father of who I'm going to be playing later.
Right.
This game thinks it's being more clever than I think it actually is. But it's not.
Well, I mean, it's not trying to be Siphon Filter. It's not trying to be Metal Gear Solid, which isn't quite as stealthy a game as
and it's at a time period I find really fascinating.
Splinter Cell.
I really do like the American Revolution. I've always liked the history lessons.
No, I agree.
This game does a pretty good job of putting you in that time.
Here you are walking around. You do a lot of this. It's kind of funny that they jumped the one guy before because they think that he's the guy that
well, you got
murdered him.
to add action. You can't just have him walking around. You have to have something to look at while you're going through this.
Right.
The tutorial for this game is, I'd say, 2 hours long.
Really?
Because they've spread out all the things you learn over 2 hours.
But was there any really big mechanics that weren't there in the prior games?
Not really. They've actually really streamlined a lot of the mechanics.
Oh, good.
They've erased the Y button is completely useless beyond It's weird. You actually, when you fire your gun, you have to hold the L button, and then you press Y to fire.
Right.
It's very odd. The firing feels very.
Because it's not trigger based.
Yeah, it's not trigger based at all.
Interesting. So here we go. Another cutscene. Take you away. You've got this pendant thing. I'm sure that's going to come up later on in the story.
It's like everything else. It's an important artifact that's actually just a key, and then it disappears.
Oh, great. And so you kind of end up that mission right there.
I say there's all the disappointment of having to sit through another cutscene.
Yeah, no, it wasn't necessary. And then next week, as we get, I don't know if it's going to be next week. The next video we're going to do, that's right. Oh,
this is just the beginning of the game.
No, it's the beginning of the game again.
To the title credits.
Oh, that's too bad. I was really hoping we'd be able to talk about what's coming up next because I'm excited for this part. I want to play a little bit of this scene. That's right, we get on a boat. And so I take it this is kind of where the scene changes and we're heading over to the Americas, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, check us out later on. We'll have another video up with more of Assassin's Creed 3, kind of more of the story, how we like it, how as more of the mechanics of the game come out, whether it feels as good as the past games, and whether we think that it's a good buy.
Hopefully we'll have our full crew next time.
Yeah, hopefully. Have a good one.